In today's lesson, we are continuing our journey into mastering CSS Flex bugs by diving deep into CSS Flex Item Properties. To start, let's review the fundamentals before we dive into the specific details. In a Flex container, the elements inside it automatically become Flex items. This flexible layout allows for various properties to be applied to these items, giving us precise control over their positioning and alignment. And the properties that we can use on Flex item are order, Flex grow, Flex shrink, Flex basis, Flex, and align self. And now let's take a look on these one by one. And first we have order property. And the order property is used to determine the order of Flex item within a Flex container. It allows us to control the sequence in which these items are displayed. The value assigned to the order property must be a number, with the default value being 0. This means that if no specific order is specified, the Flex items will be arranged in their original source order. Now let's see this in practice. Now here is our Flex container, and in this Flex container we have 3 Flex items, which is this 1, 2 and 3. And now we are going to use the order property to change the positioning of these elements. By default, as we learn, all these 3 items have order value set to 0. But if we change the order of this first element to 1, now after saving, you can see the first item changes its position and now it's at the last. And now I am changing the order value of this second child element and I am setting its value to 2. And now the second item is at last. And this is how we can change the order of our Flex items by using this order property. And in this order property we can also use negative value. For example, if I set order value -1 on this item will then become the first item. Let me show you. If I change its value to -1, now you can see the third item is now at the first position, because these two have default value of 0 and this third one have the value of -1. That is why, because -1 is less than 0, this is the reason that our third item is now at first position. Now after this order property, we have Flex grow property. And the Flex grow property is used to determine the growth of an item in relation to other items. It also accepts numerical values indicating the magnitude of growth. By default, the value is set to 0. And now here, I want to show you this Flex grow property. And for this, we also need to use numerical values like 2. Now our first item is taking 2x remaining space in this Flex container. And now if I set its value to 3, and now this is taking third portion of remaining space of this Flex container. As you can see, the Flex grow property allows us to distribute available space among Flex items. And now after this, we have Flex shrink property. The Flex shrink property is a useful CSS attribute that determines the level of shrinkage for a Flex item compared to other items within a Flex container. It allows us to control how much an item will decrease in size when there is limited space available. When entering a value, it is important to note that it should be numerical in cases where no value is provided. And the default value for this property is 1. And now next up we have Flex basis property that defines the initial size of Flex item before it stretches or shrinks. This is where we can set the item's ideal size. Now I am going to use this Flex basis property on this second element, and we are going to set this value using pixels. Like I am setting it to 100 pixels. Now by using flex basis property and I am setting its value to 200 pixels, we can specify the initial size of this item. Like initially this item have 200 pixels of width. But if I decrease the size, you can see the size of our second element is also decreasing. And this is what this flex basis property is for. We can just use this to set the initial size before any stretching or any other thing in this container. Finally, let's simplify our lives with the flex shorthand property. It combines flex grow, flex shrink, and flex basis into one line of code. Now as you can see, by using just this single property, I am setting the value of flex grow property and flex shrink property, and at last we have the value of flex basis property. And with this flex we can set all three properties at one with precise control. Now at last we have our align self property. The align self property is a useful tool in CSS that allows us to control the alignment of specific item within a flexible container. By using this property, we can override the default alignment set by the container's align items property. This gives you more control over how individual items are positioned within the container. Now in order to show you this align self property, I am going to use developer tools so I can show you each and every value. Now here I am going to apply this align self property on this second element. So this is our element, and now here I am using this align self property, and here you can see we have different values. And now here we can easily see the behavior of these values one by one using these developer tools. Like if we set this to baseline, now the second element is at the top at the baseline of our flex container. Now if we set to center, and now it's back to its original position, which was center. If we set it to end, now it's end of our flex container. And flex end do the same thing. Then we have flex start, which again set it to the top. Then we have inherit, then we have initial and normal. And this is the normal behavior of flex items, that they stretch all the way down from top to bottom. Then we have revert, then self end, self start, and then we have only start, which is also doing the same thing as self start. Then we have stretch, and this one is also by default value of flex items. Like if we just use the flex property on a container, each and every element in that flex container will stretch from top to bottom like this. Then we have unset. Now by using our developer tool, we can easily check the behavior of each and every value that we can use using align self property. And now I want to show you a simple property, and by using that property we can basically give space between our flex items. Like right now I am using margin left property to give space between these items, but we can use another property which is called gap, and currently these items have no space between them. So to give space we just need to use the gap property on our flex container, and then here we can set its value in pixels, rems or ems, whatever unit you want to use. I am using here 1 rem, and after saving you can see we have 1 rem of gap between all three items. And this is how easy it is to give space between flex items. And we can also use this gap property while using display grid property, but we will cover display grid property in later videos. That's a wrap for today's lesson on CSS Flex Item Properties. By mastering these properties, you will have a solid foundation for creating flexible and responsive layout. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button to join this exciting web development journey with us. And if you have any questions or suggestions, you can put those in the comment section below. Until next time, keep coding and keep creating. I will see you in the next video.